if you're joining us, spoiler alert, we're going to spoil it for United States win 2-0 over Canada. But, we're going to maybe set the scene a little bit for this game, because we talked about this in the preview, so we have to talk about it in the build-up now. Canada soccer players, in a year-long dispute with their federation over multiple things. One of the biggest ones is pay inequity, but lack of resources and current budget cuts and in the months leading up to the World Cup. And while they were training in SheBelieves, so kind of a chaotic 72 hours to where the players said that they wanted to protest. They were going to boycott, strike the games. They were threatened with litigation by Canada Soccer, and then things got scaled back. The players said, we will play, but we will play in protest. The United States women's national team expressed support and solidarity with Canada players who were going to play the game in protest. And that's where it stood when we had previewed this game. What was going to happen from that? What was that going to look like? Because there was also media availability where U.S. players alluded to the fact that there was going to be a game day expression or demonstration of that solidarity. And as the hours led up to this game, we got to see more information come out about what all of the players were going to do during the match. So Canada soccer players, they put out a statement on their social media saying that they were going to wear purple, purple as a symbol of protest and fight for gender equality. And that's something that they're going to keep as part of their playing and protest. We will continue to see the Canadian players as they participate in any future events wearing some form of purple.
Yeah, purple chosen very specifically and very purposely for this cause, because historically, it said this in the statement, historically purple has been associated with efforts of gender equality. So considering these current circumstances, they're going to continue to wear purple and kind of go through with that. And I think it's just another part of the story that the U.S. players also did this, not purple shirts, but purple wristbands, purple tape around their wrists, really in the name of gender equality, saying U.S. players also coming out with a statement saying that they're supporting the Canadian women in this fight because they know it very well. They know it very well, this gender pay equality sport. And because of purple being really encompassing gender equality across the board. The U.S. players also they had white tape around their wrists and then wrote, that was very legible to read. They put it out on their social medias. It said, defends trans joy. So supporting trans rights in addition to supporting the Canadian women in their fight for equal pay.
Yeah, I thought it was very special. I thought it was very unique for both teams to sort of participate in this player demonstration, but also do things that were unique to each of their teams. Like we saw the Canadian players walk out in the lead up to the anthem. Yes, in the purple and white wristbands, but also in purple shirts where it said enough is enough. And they participated in the anthem in unity. They were singing. They were proud to represent Canada, but had their shirts also, shown with the statement on them. And we saw the white wristbands for the United States women's national team, like you said, very, very legible in terms of all of the things that they were demonstrating for. Appreciated that the players union went ahead and put out a statement to define what they were doing. I just want to read some of it here. It says, at the start of the eighth edition of the SheBelieves Cup, our players are united in continuing to raise awareness on issues of equality. The USWNT players and Canadian players will wear both purple tape in the name of gender equality and white tape with Defend Trans Joy. Given that this tournament was established to highlight gender equality, it will be the first time that the U.S. women's national team players will be treated as equals. While we thank U.S. Soccer for their leadership, we know that it took courage from our USWNT players to stand together both in collective bargaining and through litigation. Although we were now on the other side of this fight and can focus our play on the fields, our counterparts in Canada and elsewhere are experiencing the same pervasive misogyny and unequal treatment that we faced. We stand with all women's footballers in calling attention to their collective fight, but also call on everyone to join and support the fight to eradicate all inequality and discrimination that exists in our sport. So we bring this up, and if you're joining us on our YouTube, you could see some of the images coming out of the pregame ceremonies to start off just before kickoff. And we bring all this up because something like this absolutely impacts the players in the moment and on that pitch. It's emotional scenes. It's not an easy place to find yourself as a player playing in protest. It's not an easy place to find yourself as the opposition, trying to be supportive and express solidarity in that, right? And then all of a sudden you have to say, okay, gloves off, let's go at it. You know, it's a very, very unique set of circumstances to take a look at and sort of go through the motions of that before kickoff, because it didn't end there. While the anthems took place, there was one more player demonstration where all of the players came together in the center circle and locked arms and held a brief moment there before the first whistle. So listen,
we've seen in the last 18 months, in the last 2 years, Sandra, we have seen so many powerful demonstrations, peaceful, powerful statements from these players, whether it's in the NWSL or across women's international football or across even the men's team eventually, right? Like saying up and saying that they're going to support this as well. But these women, it's inspiring, right, to see this and to have those players, both teams off the bench, Canada and the United States linking arms at the center circle in a moment of silence to kind of bear witness to that in the stadium, to bear witness to what the fans around were saying and doing. And there's a lot of young girls, a lot of young soccer players that go to these games and look up to these idols of Alex Morgan and Rose Lavelle, and they idolize them and put them on a bit of a pedestal, and to then have them go hand in hand with their opponents that they're about to play against and have to look to their mom and say, their dad or their parent, and say, what's happening? What's going on? And their parents have to explain to them, these women are fighting for equal pay and equal treatment at the men's team. It was powerful, incredibly powerful. And you talked about it, the emotional weight that this holds for these players, the mental weight that this holds for these players in this moment when they also then have to 60 seconds later go out and perform their job duties and play to their best of their abilities and play for a trophy and play for status and to play in front of fans and make them happy, right? This is the game of football that makes these players so happy. That's why they do it. And that's why the stadiums get filled up. And that's why you and I talk about it, because it makes us happy. The game is happy and it's fun, and it should be. But you have to balance those moments of experience and fight it with the balance of playing and having fun and doing what you love. And it has been inspiring to watch these women do that over the last 2 years.
I was so eager to hear your thoughts on it, because I know you were there, and there's something about being there when you witness a moment like that. And you could see in the build up to the game how little time it takes for fans to get informed and be aware of what's happening, you know, in terms of players and their demonstrations. And you could see like a lot of signage and support, like within fans and for fans. And I thought that was very, very cool.
Of all ages, from young players and young fans to much older women that have fought their own battles of gender equality. So many signs that said, pay the Canadian women, equal women's rights, all of the things, trans rights, all of these gender equality posters and signs. And I think the message was very clear from both teams, from the fans, from everything. It was very powerful.
It does. It's important to highlight because we knew that there was going to be a 90-minute game of soccer that was played, and what was that going to look like as these two rosters went through player protests or participated in player demonstrations. And maybe the way to start is taking a look at some of these starting 11s, because those are the players that the cameras are all on them, right? Looking at the shirts or looking at the wristbands. So